different way I've discovered doing brick on the model railroad buildings. Here's a look at some completed versions. It's a little different from just using the traditional paint and wiping off the excess. What I did was, it's kind of a little different, and it goes back to my days as a kid putting together models, but this is for our model railroad for me and my 7-year-old. And I got tired of so much, it took too long for me at least to get the acrylic to wash down into the grooves of the brick, and then I don't know, it's just difficult. If you're an expert, hey, more power to you, knock yourself out. But so what I do now is I take, after I paint my building red, I go and I use a little different trick. I use toothpaste. And it's got to be white, can't be gel, it's got to be a whitening kind of toothpaste. This brand is called a Rembrandt. And like I said, when I was a kid, I put together a lot of models for my railroads, and also did a lot of just different things, you know, as a kid, putting models together. And you would experiment, you know, you put battle scars on spaceships and stuff, and I was always doing things. But this is one of those cases where I'm doing it. So what I did was, let's open this up here. I'll do a quick demonstration of how this works. I'm trying to hold the phone here, and so I don't have a stand for the camera, so excuse the wobbliness. So what I do is I just take a little bit of the glue, actually this paste here from the toothpaste, and then I will literally rub it. Okay, so I'll just keep doing that. I'm just going to do a little part, and then I'll show you a finished product. There's a little trick here. Now, don't panic when you see, oh no, that's all a big mess. Oh no, panic. You know, if you mess up, you can always wash it off because it is toothpaste. But what you do is you rub it, kind of circular motion, and sideways, up and down, get it in the grooves. Okay, just like that. Nobody panic. Okay, and just kind of put it on here, and you let it set, I guess, for about 10 minutes. Just make sure you get it all down in the grooves of the building. Just let it set. What we're going to do is we're going to take a lint-free cloth, like a t-shirt is a good one, something that doesn't have lint in it. And we're going to wipe away the top surface with, it's just got to be damp and, you know, barely wet. And what happens is when you move this tacky substance over the grooves, it's like a natural brick and mortar. And now, yeah, your building's going to smell minty fresh. But what I do after I do that is I also go take a dull clear coat sealant, and I'll spray that over that, and it seals in what looks like mortar. And it has a pretty awesome effect. I have another building that I've already done this to, and I'll show it to you on my layout later. But so what we do now, we just let this sit for a while. You know, and just kind of move it around, kind of imagine how the bricks would be. Bricks are imperfect, so that's one thing you got to remember. Brick and mortar is imperfect. So it's not going to be super perfect, but it'll be close enough. I mean, these look pretty good. So I'm just going to do this top half, and then I'm going to come back here in just a bit and show you, after you let that tackiness sit in, rub it around, kind of with the brick grain goes sideways and then up and down. And you'll see how quickly this works. I mean, it's actually pretty quick. I usually don't, if you don't want to let it sit for 10 minutes, you don't have to. I usually set, it's just me. I actually have done it in a shorter span of like 3 minutes. Okay, so I'll be right, I'm gonna let this set for a little bit and we'll be right back. So I went ahead and pasted the entire surface with the Rembrandt, and it's whitening toothpaste. Now, one thing about this toothpaste, you got to make sure it is not a white gel, but a white. See, that is white. That's white toothpaste. So there's different types. There's like a texture that's a gel white. That doesn't do so good when you wash this off. And one thing you need to remember, and I forgot to say previously, before you do this, you've got to make sure when on your painted surface, you seal that. You seal your painted surfaces before you put any kind of paste or on top of your brick. So here's an example where I painted the wood, and now I put it over I put the sealed surface on it. I sprayed that with like a clear coat flat, and then I put the paste on it. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to wipe this surface off, and it's going to produce this effect. Now these, after I wipe that off, I take these out, let it dry for a little bit, let the mortar go in there, and then I seal it one more time. So let's go ahead and proceed to the next step. So now we've let the paste set in, and I've actually just dipped this in some water. That's all I've done. This is just a lint-free cloth. Okay. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe the excess off. See, look at that. See that? If you wipe the surface off, now you start to get that brick effect. And anything that wipes off too much, you'll just put some more toothpaste on it and wipe it again. So what you'll need to do is, as you're wiping that excess off, it'll start to rub back in. You just go ahead and you wipe that off, just on the entire surface, and you'll see the bricks start to happen. Okay, so let me go ahead and finish this. I'll just show you everyone, and it's a pretty quick process. Just wipe it off the surface. Don't rub real hard. And before you know it, you'll have a pretty clean brick surface. You'll even pick up imperfections purposely put there in the brick by the developers in the casting of the mold of the bricks, if you have a decent model. And there it is. That is a brick and mortar look. So what I'll do is I'll probably touch this up a little bit in some areas, and I will go ahead and put another sealant on it, and then it'll turn out like, when it dries like this, because the sealant that I use, it's just a simple Tester's flat coat, and what happens is it interacts with the toothpaste that's in the grooves, and it actually comes out looking like a mortar, not even white paint. So anyway, it's a kind of a crazy approach to doing this. Don't have to try it, it's not perfect, but it works for me and I get it done pretty fast. So that's about it. This is a completed view of the Walthers train line 931-918 brick freight station. I completed it using a different technique of doing the bricking. The original looks something like this, and I've weathered it a little bit, and this is what we ended up with. I still have to do the internal lighting when I get it wired onto the layout, but this is what our brick looks like. I left off the lamps because, like I said, when I wire this thing in, I'm going to make it look as close as realistic as possible. Put some weathering in there. Let's turn it around here. You can see there's the back view, or the other side be also considered the front view. Again, I've done some little weathering techniquing here, but you can see the brick comes out pretty good using with that type of toothpaste, which is a different kind of way of doing it. Works for me, may not work for everyone. I've also got some weathering in here going around on the brick, if you can see that. And this is as realistic as I can get it. It'll look better once I actually get it on my layout. And turned out pretty good, at least for me, for what I'm doing. It's just me and my son. But once we light this thing up, it'll look really great. You also look here, I've added some weathering on the wood platform foundation. Give it a little more of a realistic look. Look like, you know, something may have spilt there from a freight, a freight unloading. Kind of gives it the wood a realistic look. So that's what we have. And one other thing, I'm gonna set this on my layout just to get some initial view on how it looks. In time, I'm gonna light this thing up and make it look more realistic by putting the lamps in the right location and the lights. The lighting, it does wonders to a layout. Makes it look really good. So that's it for this model build, and talk to y'all later.